Okay, so we're off and running. This week is all about prospecting on Facebook. And I also want to talk a little bit about some things we hinted at last week as far as the viability of Facebook business pages in today's world. So that's the two things we're going to think through. So thinking through our 5 pillars of social media success, today's all about conversation. And how to, last week we talked a lot about reactivating your Facebook network to really try to make a lot of people even existing in your friend network already who are cool to cold from Facebook's perspective with your stickiness, with your affinity to them. How do you reactivate them, warm them up, make that affinity there again? But now I want to take a look at it through a perspective of a business page, because we get this question all the time from Soundboard subscribers about the viability of a business page. Should I also have a Facebook business page? One interesting thing to point out, if you have a public page, Tammy's mentioned this, that she still gets likes on hers every once in a while because it's just up there and it's public and it can be found. Even though no new content's going through it. Jamie Kinsey told me that she has a Facebook business page that's called Juice Plus CrossFit Moms. And she hasn't posted anything to it in years, but it still gets likes because that's such an interesting search term. So Juice Plus and CrossFit, people search for those terms and find her Facebook group all the time. So that's an interesting thought because it can get found. But here's the reality of where we are. Okay, and I found this graph, and it's not even totally up to date. It does get worse. But this is in 2012 and earlier, as Facebook was growing, and it was really becoming a platform where Facebook was envisioning they wanted basically all traffic on the web to exist through them. They introduced Facebook logins where your Facebook ID becomes your stamp to get in other websites. Of course, businesses were thriving on Facebook because they were able to connect with thousands and thousands of new customers. And when you liked a Facebook page back in the heady days of 2012, you would see all that page had to show you, had to offer. Well, Facebook figured this out. They saw all these businesses growing through their platform without any benefit to them. So they figured out how to monetize this. So you can see what happened. They call it the like-apocalypse in February of 2013 when they retooled their algorithm. So what that meant was no longer did the Facebook business page have the ability to have such an organic reach. And so you can see that they cut it from 100% to 15%. Now it's under 1%, and that was 2 years ago. And so it's hovering around 1 to 2%. So that means if you have a business page that has 1,000 likes on it, let's keep the math simple. When you make a post, 1% of the people actually even get the post served into their feed. Okay, so this is how this plays out. And I took this screenshot. This is from the Healthy Living Soundboard Facebook page that we run at Edge Theory to get the word out about the soundboard, help people, educate them about what the soundboard is, and provide resources. So we do boost some posts. Of course, we don't mention Juice Plus, but we boost posts like Apple Watch giveaways and things like that so that we can get more reach. We have about 3,400 likes on the page at this point. So you can see the difference here. Even with over 3,000 likes, okay, we have to pay to get seen by even the people who've already liked our page. So on an organic day, on an average day, when we just make a post, here's social media training, here's just some articles that we shared, you can see we are just getting a fraction of people who've even liked the page to see it. Okay, so this has to do with that declining reach. Now, when we pay, this is, I don't know, $20, $30. It's not a ton of money. But when we pay, we still don't even always hit the same quantity of people who've originally liked the page. So All that to say, when people ask me, do I need to go out and make a Facebook business page? The answer is, if you are thinking about starting one from scratch, it is absolutely not worth your time. Don't even worry about it. If you've got an old one that you haven't touched in years and years, Tammy joked with me about she can't even figure out how to deactivate hers and make it go away. It's not hurting anything sitting there. You can make it disappear, and I'll show you how in a minute if you want to. But the other thought is, why not have it out there and just throw a couple of articles on it in case people do stumble across it, because it is another way for people to connect with you. But if you've got that business page that you've been maintaining, that you built up in the early days, and you had a lot of likes and action around it, and you've been working on maintaining that, well, of course, you've seen a declining reach. There's no reason to not keep trying. My understanding with Juice Plus is that you all are allowed to boost posts as long as you don't mention the products or mention the brand, right? So you could boost articles and things like that. When you do that, you've got to figure out, is that worth the attention that you are going to get if you're spending, 10 or 15 bucks on boosting a post? And when you think about it, let's hop over here to the Healthy Living soundboard. What we can do through the soundboard, of course, is we can offer our subscriptions right here on the page. So we have a little shop set up for this. My understanding is, as a Juice Plus rep, you are not allowed to do this for the products. You can't just put the products up here for sale independent of the virtual office. But you can get creative about ways that you talk about how people can get connected to you and to your virtual office sales site. And so all that to say, ultimately, the good news of this is that as this has gone down for business pages, it's actually the inverse, and I couldn't find a nice graph to show it, but the inverse is true of your personal page. So as these have gone down, they've pushed up the ability for personal pages to get found. So, when Facebook says every single thing that you post can be seen by every single person in your friend network, they just have to scroll down far enough to see it. Because if you're making a post and you don't have a lot of affinity with somebody, it does get shoved in their post feed like way down. So what has happened, though, is back in these days when business pages were ruling the roost, your personal post would be seen by an average of about 20 to 25% of your friend network. That's gone up to 40 or 45%. And so if you take advantage of that, combined with that tactic we talked about last week of reactivating some of those old friends and increasing your affinity with some of those old friends, then you can see how the good news of all this is, A, you don't have to spend time worrying about 2 pages, and B, your personal page is the best option for growing your reach. Okay. Now, in thinking about audience, the Facebook page does tell you something about your audience, not as much as Twitter does. But I did want to talk about this idea of how do we prospect and how do we figure out a new audience to speak into. Okay, because remember, when you're just thinking about your personal feed and when you're making a post, if you just throw a post out there and just sit back and say, come to me, my posts are interesting, my posts are wonderful, you might be a little disappointed at the reaction if you only ever post and just hope for the best that people will react to your post and comment on your post. You've got to give a little to get a little. The other way to do this is, how do you make new connections on the platform? Okay, how do you get outside that friend network, that friend bubble? Because ultimately, a lot of those people, if not all of them, are familiar with what you're doing, probably. So let's hop over here to Facebook, and I want to show you how this works. Let's leverage some groups, okay? Let's go to the places where people are talking about things where we as healthy living authorities have the ability to speak into. And when we combine this with soundboard content, you have a really nice 1-2 punch here. So let's look up a topic, okay? Let's look up vegan recipes. Now, at the top here, we're going to have all this stuff. You can see we've got latest, people, photos, blah, blah, blah. We want to go over to groups. All right, when we click on groups, we now have all of these groups of people who are interested in this particular topic. Okay, so think of this as a very warm network, because when you join these groups and you post into these groups, it's not like posting to a business page where only a handful of people are going to see it. Whoever logs into what this group is doing will see your post, all right? And so if you join a group, I mean, these are huge. Look at these, 17,000 members, 33,000 members, 5,000 members. If you request to join, I promise you the admin will allow you to join within hours, because these groups are huge. They're not selective. And what you can begin to do is, let's go find a group that I have joined here. I'm going to go over to my groups and find a group that I have joined in the past. So let's see. We're going to scroll down here to our, let's see, groups at the top here. So we've got our groups. So I've got some pending invites, people who've invited me to do something, and then the groups that I've joined. All right, so I like this one. Omi's Healthy Eating is a good one. A lot of people post into that. Juice Plus, obviously you don't need to join a bunch of Juice Plus testimonial groups. I've been doing that for posting about soundboard. Easy gluten-free recipes, okay? Public group, 20,000 members. All right, so let's use this one for an example. Obviously you have a lot of people posting about gluten-free recipes in this group. Okay, so when you think about joining a group, a public group, you have a huge network of people that you can connect with. If you want to just start friend requesting them, I recommend against that, okay? Because what you need to do is you need to show yourself as a contributor to this community and as somebody who has something to share. So what you can do is begin to post on other people's links. All right, so Trinity here has soda loaf bread, gluten-free bread recipe. Just anything that catches your eye that you're interested in, comment on it. All right, what you're going to be doing is making that honest, easy connection that's not promotional, it's not cheesy. You're just sharing interest, showing interest in other people and what they care about. All right, so go through these groups, begin to comment on other people's posts. You know, ask them, have you made this? Is it actually good? It seems to be good. You've got all kind of conversations going on about these recipes. All right, now that's going to show people in the group that you're there, that you care, and that after you comment on their stuff, they're probably much more likely to accept a friend request from you, which again will help them see your stuff as you're posting. But you can also use the soundboard to post into these groups. All right, so if we want to look up a gluten-free recipe, let's look up the gluten keyword. Here's a gluten-free meal plan. Now, what we're going to do, if you haven't been on Soundboard in a couple of days, we've actually rolled out an update where we've put our most popular share buttons at the top. People are using these 3 the most. And we're also now hosting the entire article here because we're trying to scrape all those, you know, bad ads and awful clickbait stuff that appear at the bottom of articles off of this, just so you can preview it. But all the buttons are still here at the bottom. So at the top here, we've got our 3 most popular, and if you want to just skip to the bottom, you can hit this plus, and it'll take you right there. All right, now remember we have this Facebook for Groups button. So let's click on this Facebook for Groups. It's going to copy our text. We want to share on Facebook, And instead of sharing on our own timeline, we want to share in a group that we are a member of. Since we're already a member of Easy Gluten-Free Recipes, you just start typing and it's going to bring up that particular group, right? And then we paste in our suggested text and then you post. So now you are not only a consumer, but you are a contributor to these groups, and you can really start to treat these like prospecting arenas, okay, almost, of places that just go and find stuff that you care about, that you're interested in. You may have, no one in my family is gluten sensitive. I don't know that much about it, although I just shared an article that looks like I do. I'm much more interested in children's health because I have 3 little girls that are picky like me and they're on their chewables, but I would love ideas on how to get them to eat better. So that's something that, you know, I would care about. Let's see if we can find picky eaters. Let's see if we can find some picky eater groups. I'm sure there's some funny stuff out here. Picky Eaters Association, parenting picky eaters. Perfect. Look at that. Kids recipes for picky eaters. So now you can post content, join this group. I would have a lot to talk about with these parents. Being a picky eater myself, sympathetic to my children, but also wanting them to be healthy. So you see how easy this is once you start thinking about, what do I care about? What do I know about? What is it going to be easy for me to talk to other people about? Combine these groups with the content that you can find on Soundboard. So you're posting in, you're contributing, you're not just consuming. And you're really going to, I think, have a great way to make new connections. I think you're going to see your friend network on Facebook grow a lot. And it's a really, again, organic, authentic way to make new connections on the platform. I love it. Carrie Daigle has that phrase. It starts with a conversation that leads to a presentation that could end up in an invitation. So very, very thoughtful way to get to hopefully growing your business through these platforms and through people that you wouldn't have met any other way. It's really cool. So that is thinking about this from a personal profile perspective. Okay, you want to post into these groups as yourself. Now let's hop back to the business page side of things, because this is a pretty cool feature. If you do have a business page, what you can do is you can track who has interacted with your posts. Now this is a kind of a manual process, but I do this for the Healthy Living Soundboard all the time. I think it's a valuable exercise because what I find is there's thousands of people that interact with our posts that have never actually liked the page. So they saw a post because somebody shared it or it was a boosted post, but they don't have a way to see future posts coming out of this page because they haven't liked the page. So what you do is when you are on your business page, let's do this. Let's just find a post. Let's go to our insights here, and this is going to help us track our posts. So let's go to posts and let's find one that's gotten some good engagement. All right, so I'm going to sort our posts by reach, and then let's just pick this top one here and see what we've got. All right, so we've gotten, this is just, you know, a boosted post about the existence of the soundboard. We've gotten this many people to like the page. All right, now what I can do is I can click on this and it'll now tell me individually who's liked it, and it'll tell me of those people who liked this post, who has still not liked my business page. And so I can send an invite to all these people based on their expressing interest in the post. I can now invite them to like my page and hopefully express interest that way so that they will see more of the training announcements that we've got going on, the contests, things like that. So I think this is a really powerful way, if you are still using a business page, to drum up some interest. Okay, so this is an argument for keeping at least a little bit of content going out through your business page and seeing what can come of it. So basically, again, I just looked at the post and it told me who has interacted with it in some way, shape, or form. And I would recommend inviting those people to like your page. So I think that's a pretty nice avenue of growing some reach there. Now, as far as insights goes, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth next week with Twitter. And I like Twitter's offerings better on what they actually tell you about your audience. I think it's a little more in depth. But Facebook basically does tell you some interesting aspects of your audience. Again, this is for a business page. And primarily by gender and age group. All right, so this tells me loud and clear that of my likes on my page, 91% are female, and my largest age bracket is 25 to 54 with some skew on either side. So without too much assumptions put in place, I can say, okay, I can clearly be talking about women's health. I need to be talking about cooking tips for busy moms. I need to be talking about children's health. I need to be talking about female nutrition needs as you age. I can be talking about breastfeeding. I can be talking about healthy pregnancy. I can be talking about menopause and nutrition, all those kinds of things. I know I would be hitting the sweet spot of what my audience is after. Now, again, Twitter, next week we'll talk about it, gives you more insight into particular interests, but you can draw some safe assumptions here based on just, who's after you, who's looking at your stuff. So I did put this, I know we talked about it last week, but I did want to put it in for people who are joining us new this week, or just as a friendly reminder, how powerful it is for actions to occur to your posts on Facebook and how the things that you want to have happening. So as a friendly reminder, your top, this is how posts are ranked by weight, meaning how frequently they're going to show up. And then once a post is created, what happens to it gives it a lifespan outside of it just appearing at the top of people's feeds one time. So friendly reminder that video is great. And again, we at the Soundboard are working diligently to find good video content for you to share, but it's hard to not find, or so hard to find content that doesn't promote other brands or competitive brands. And Juice Plus does put some really professional videos together, but they're kind of few and far between on Facebook. And we're hoping we can put Shred 10 and Healthy Living Revolution stuff on there. We just are waiting on the green light for that. But know that we're looking for this. But all this to say, Facebook Live is out there. If you want to make a Facebook Live video, it's pretty easy to do so. If you want to create a post, you can hit your live video right here, and you can start typing, and it will start recording right there, and then it'll post the whole video for people to watch later. And I have seen some Juice Plus folks do really great stuff with this when they're sitting in carpool waiting on their kids, and they throw out a thought of the day, or on the Healthy Living Soundboard, Joe and I, my CEO and I, we've started doing this, the Joe and James Show. It's every day, 90-second, 3-minute video of our thoughts for the day, either on Soundboard, on social media. I started doing little video interviews with team leaders about their experience with Soundboard. And so this is the kind of content that over time has longevity, even when we don't boost it. I mean, this particular one is less than 24 hours old, and this has already organically reached more people than our typical post would, because it's video. So keep that in mind if you're interested in generating some content on your own. And keep in mind this affinity thing. This is such a critical piece of networking on Facebook. When you are posting into these groups, when you are commenting on other people's posts in these groups, regardless of whether or not you have a friend connection with them on Facebook, you can build affinity. And so that you're seeing each other's stuff more frequently. But, show up to the party, be a contributor, add to the conversation. Don't just be a consumer. I think Jay Martin said it well at conference. He said, don't treat Facebook like Facebook. All right. I know that's what we do. We hop on, we scroll, we hop off. But be a contributor, and this is going to be the thing that allows your social media presence to be that marathon, not the sprint. That, when you're consistent, this is the kind of thing that's going to make a difference long term, I think, for your business growth over, the next 6, 12 months, 18 months and beyond, and trying to get connected with new people, people that you wouldn't otherwise ever have come in contact with. And so that's the way, I think that's the healthiest way to think about social media. Is it is lots and lots of potential new connections that you can make with ultimately with very little effort, especially when combined with Soundboard. You can schedule stuff. If you're using Buffer, you can schedule posts to go into groups. I mean, you can get really technical with it, and as long as you're staying on top of your notifications, you're really making great connections. So we're coming up on our half hour here. We're going to wrap this up, but thank you so much for joining, especially if y'all are on spring break and you got kids running around. Next week, Twitter analytics, Twitter audience gauging is really interesting stuff. And then the following week, we'll talk in depth about scheduling, and then that will wrap up our 6-week series. So I appreciate it. Everybody have a great spring break. Rob, thank you. All right. Peace out.